My sister slept with my fiancé. Then, my parents demanded I invite her to my wedding. Family betrayal exposed. Let me start with this. Family's supposed to have your back, right? Well, mine sure didn't. Growing up, I always thought my parents and my younger sister Lauren were my safe place. We weren't rich or anything, but we had enough. We had birthdays with homemade cakes, Sunday dinners, family game nights, all that. I genuinely thought we were close. Then, in college, I met Kelsey. She was smart, funny, sweet. The kind of girl that lights up a room without even trying. We dated all 4 years, and after graduation, I asked her to marry me. She said yes. I thought life was falling into place. But man, I didn't see what was coming. See, Lauren had always been a little wild. She'd bounce from one guy to the next, partied a lot, made dumb choices. But I always figured she was just figuring things out. She was my kid sister. I never thought she'd actually hurt me. Turns out, while I was working long hours to save for our wedding, Lauren and Kelsey were sneaking around behind my back. Yeah, my fiancé and my own sister. I found out when Kelsey left her phone unlocked on the counter one night. She was in the shower and a message popped up from Lauren. I wasn't snooping, just happened to glance at the screen. But what I saw stopped me cold. Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you. At first, I thought maybe it was a joke or some inside thing I didn't get. But when I opened the thread, God. There were photos, messages. Some of it dated back months. It wasn't a fling. It was a full-blown affair. I confronted Kelsey first. She tried to lie, said it was old, that they were just drunk, that it only happened once. But I'd read the messages. I knew better. Then I went to Lauren. She didn't even deny it. Just stared at me with that smug look, like she was the victim. Said some crap like, you were never really right for her anyway. That's when I walked out, cut 'em both off. I was a mess for months, but eventually I picked myself up. Got back into therapy, hit the gym, poured myself into work. After a while, I met someone new. Her name's Jenna. And she's everything Kelsey wasn't. Genuine, loyal, kind. She knew what I'd been through and still stood by me. We moved in together and eventually I proposed. She said yes. Fast forward to wedding planning and everything was going smooth until my parents threw a wrench in it. They sat me down one day and said, "We think it's time to let bygones be bygones. You should invite Lauren to the wedding." I laughed at first, thought they were joking, but they were dead serious. I asked, "Are you out of your mind?" She slept with my fiancé. And you know what my mom said? She made a mistake, but she's still your sister. Blood is thicker than water. I couldn't believe it. They'd rather keep the peace with her than stand up for me. I told them flat out, Lauren's not welcome, end of story. But then I got an idea. If they wanted to talk about family, I was going to show them what betrayal really looked like. And let me tell you, chaos doesn't even begin to cover what happened next. So I decided to stop waiting around and just go see my aunt in person. Lucky for me, she didn't live too far. But man, I was shocked to find out she'd been living in the area the whole time. When I showed up at her door, she was kinda cold at first. But once I started explaining how Mom, Dad, and my sister had treated me, how I'd always felt pushed to the side, she softened up. She invited me in, made us some tea, and then started opening up about what really went down between her and the rest of the family. Turns out, she had a boyfriend years ago that Grandma didn't approve of. And instead of letting them work things out, Mom and Dad took it upon themselves to stir the pot. They fed Grandma a bunch of lies, told her my aunt didn't care about her, that she was going to run off and elope. Didn't even bother to include the family. Then they turned around and told my aunt that Grandma gave her an ultimatum. Dump the boyfriend or be disowned. Aunt was heartbroken and tried to explain, but Grandma had already been poisoned against her. The stress got so bad Grandma had a mild stroke and had to be hospitalized. That's when Dad stepped in and told my aunt that Grandma didn't want to see her again, that she'd cut her off for good, which wasn't even true. He just kept the lies going, told everyone my aunt had abandoned Grandma in her time of need. Then he and Mom started spreading rumors, saying she was selfish, heartless, didn't care about the family name. They even accused her of stealing money from Grandma to support her boyfriend, which was just a flat-out lie. Aunt later realized that Mom and Dad had probably made the whole thing up just to turn Grandma against her. But by then, too much time had passed. She didn't have the courage to reach out and fix things. And that silence, it just made things worse. Mom and Dad have always had a way of twisting the truth, making people look bad, causing drama where there didn't need to be any. They even told folks that my aunt was the reason Grandma got sick in the first place, made her out to be the villain in a story she never wanted to be in. I managed to convince Aunt to come to my wedding. Then I talked to Grandma and told her everything, how my sister treated me, how the family insisted I invite her. After a little convincing, Grandma agreed to come too. Aunt wasn't thrilled, but she came for me. Wedding day came around, and things got rocky right out of the gate. My sister showed up with Mom, and they immediately started whispering and making nasty little comments. Mom was clinging to my sister like she was the only one who mattered, until she saw Aunt. Man, the look on her face could have curdled milk. She stormed up to me, demanding to know why Aunt was there. I just told her straight. I wanted to rebuild this family, and this was a chance to finally make things right. She didn't take it well. She was about to cause a scene, but luckily I'd already filled my sister-in-law in on everything. She stepped in and helped smooth things over. We made it through the ceremony, even with the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. Despite all the drama, the ceremony itself was beautiful. And for the first time, I felt like I was doing something for me, standing up, making my own choices. Then came the reception, and that's when it all went off the rails. My aunt had taken Grandma's side to talk in private, and my parents lost it. They were banging on the door trying to get in, demanding to know what was going on. Meanwhile, my sister was making comments about how the decorations were cheap and the food wasn't up to her standards. My sister-in-law handled it like a champ, though, shutting her down with some quick, classy comebacks. I was done with it. I told my parents to leave Aunt and Grandma alone so they could talk. But instead of respecting that, they started yelling at me, accusing me of ruining the family, calling me selfish. That's when my husband and mother-in-law stepped in. They warned them if they didn't stop, they'd be kicked out. And that's when my dad really lost it. He started yelling in front of everyone, saying he never liked me, called me a disappointment, said I'd always been a problem child, right there at my wedding. My husband didn't even hesitate. He called security, and they escorted my parents out. It was a hard moment, but honestly, I was grateful for my husband's support. We managed to salvage the rest of the night. It wasn't perfect, but we found joy where we could. Later, I finally checked my phone, and I was hit with a storm of messages. That's when I realized I'd forgotten about my sister. I figured she left with our parents, but nope. She was still there. And not just that. She had gone live on social media, crying, full-blown meltdown. She was ranting about how awful I was for throwing out our parents, making it seem like she was the victim and I'd ruined everything. She painted herself like some perfect sister who just wanted to hold the family together, while I was the selfish black sheep who ruined her own wedding for attention. And people were eating it up. All these comments, "You deserve better. How could your sister do that to you?" Like she was some martyr. Meanwhile, I was sitting there trying to breathe on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and feeling completely trapped in the same old family chaos. So I stepped outside and called Grandma. She picked up, and she actually sounded calm, peaceful even. I asked her how the talk went, and she told me that she and Aunt had finally really talked, for the first time in years. Aunt had laid everything out, every lie, every twist and turn Mom and Dad had pulled. And Grandma? She listened. For the first time, someone in my family actually listened. And you know what? That call, that one quiet moment with Grandma, meant more to me than anything else that day. She told Grandma everything, how Mom and Dad twisted the whole situation, how they badmouthed her just to push her out of the family. For the first time in years, Grandma heard the truth. Not from Mom, not from Dad, but from the one person who actually lived it.